Wobbles is a fun, easy project to do that uses all your basic shapes. This is basically an oval with one flattened end and some 2D felting and learning to attach things like his little flippers and of course doing the colour around the edges. For the scarf, you can do a quick, easy needle felted scarf. I'll show you at the end of this project, or you can simply cut out a little bit of felt, or even crochet or knit him a cute, cozy scarf. This is the materials list. Take your core wool and roll it up into an oval shape. Do roll, tuck and in each sides and roll, tuck another sides and roll, and then when you get to the end you just tack them together with your needle. Take the large needle and felt around the longest part of the oval. Felt all the way around, making sure you go up and down as you felt so that you're covering all the area. Once you have felted around the larger part with your large needle a couple of times, you want to start working on the ends, because if you felt in one direction you'll end up with a long thin tube and you want him to be nice and round and firm. Make sure you felt one end curved and one end flat so that Wobbles sits on the surface. If you need to, you can drop down a needle size. When you finish him, he should be firm to the touch and not squidged down too much when you squeeze him. Now you've finished the core shape and it's looking nice and firm, take out your white wool if you're using it and your black wool. It'll be a lot easier if you have batting, but tops will work just as well. If you're using tops, mix up your fibres by pulling your wool apart and mixing it up. Now place your wool onto the front of your penguin and start to felt all over. The idea here is to continue with what you've been doing and felt down your white wool to create his front, so it needs to be felted on firmly. Now take your black wool and do the same as you did with the white, only this time you need to make sure that you keep the edges nice and smooth and position the black wool so that it goes all around into a semicircle, keeping the bottom white. When you're happy with the overall look of your black wool, make sure that you needle felt it down firmly all over. You need to do the back as well as the sides. Keep going all over the whole of it until you're happy that it's firmly attached. Don't worry about any bare patches, just simply pull off another bit of black wool, uncover it over and felt it down until it's black all over. If you need to, add some more wool, as I have done here, to the edges to make them smoother and cleaner. Now I'm happy with the look of the black wool. I can start on his flippers. To do the flippers, you need to take off 2 even parts of wool, and you work with the 2 together so that you don't do one and then find out you've done the other one a different size. So you shape them, do some felting, shape them again until you've got the complete flipper shape. It's just basically a long oval shape. Remember not to felt down too firmly because you want to attach the flippers. Some people like to leave the ends that's going to be attached loose. This is a good idea because it attaches much easier that way. Here I haven't, because I have not felted them down too much, or as much as I normally would. Now that you've made the flippers, it's time to attach them to Wobbles' body. Work out where you want the flippers to be positioned. If Wobbles is holding something, then you need to have the flippers facing forward more so that he can join the flippers together. So if he's holding a heart, for example, or a fish, you can attach the fish to that much easier. If he's not holding something, his flippers can go down rather than forward. When you position the flippers, make sure they're the same height as each other and pointing roughly in the same direction. Tack both of them lightly down and check that you're happy with the positioning, and then once you are, make sure that you felt them both firmly into place. If you can easily pull off the flippers, you've not felted them down enough. You can tell if you gently rise a flipper up, you can see where you felt it, and it'll start to pull, and you can see little threads between the flipper and the main body. Now it's time to do Wobbles' beak. His beak is simply an easy orange triangle 2D felted onto the front of the face. You have to make sure that the triangle center of the beak is to the center of his face, and that you're happy with the overall size. Simply felt the edges of the triangle down and work in the shape as you go. Once it's firmly felted, it should be flush to the body and be as one felted piece. Next we do the eyes. To do the eyes, you pull off 2 pieces of wool. Only use really tiny amounts for this. It's very easy to misjudge. You can roll them up a little bit so that they already got some shape, and then you position them onto wobbles. Now here I've indented where the eyes are going to go. To do the eyes, you want to create roughly a triangle from the beak, as you can see where the eyes here are. They have to be both the same height as each other as well. Once you've got the eyes roughly placed, felt them in gently and have a look and see if you're happy with them. To start with, they look awful because all the wool sticks out in all directions. Don't worry about this, just keep felting down until you're happy with the shape and size. Don't felt one eye completely until you've got the other eye in, because you might want to change it later. There you go, Wobbles is all finished. He is so cute. The fish is simply a small piece of wool shaped as an oval, and then the tail is indented and flattened down until it forms a very basic fish shape. Make sure that you keep turning it over and over and over, especially if you're using the foam pad, because it tends to felt into the pad, and when you pull it up you end up with strands. Don't worry about the strands, just keep twisting, turning, and keep felting down. To make Wobbles' scarf, pull off a piece of wool in your chosen colour. Draw it out into a longer length. You need it wider than your finished scarf because you need to fold it over to make it slightly thicker. But at the same time, you don't want to make it too thick. Don't worry too much because you can work on it as you go. Start to felt one end and work your way up the scarf. Turn over and felt the other side again because you don't want it to stick to the mat. Don't felt right to the very end because you may want to add more wool to it. Leave a little bit fluffy and then attach the wool to that and felt it together as you go. Eventually you'll create a long enough scarf. To attach more wool to the part that you've already felted, take a part of wool that's about the same size and thickness as the wool that you've been using and overlap it slightly to the wool that you've already got on your mat. When you're happy with the overlap, join it together with using your needle. Felt it in and it should become one long strand. Continue to felt down your new strand until you're happy with the overall length of your scarf. Keep turning the wool over and over as you felt to prevent it from sticking to your mat. As you can see here, you can see the fluffy bits. The fluffy bits have stuck to the mat. Just keep felting it down and they will eventually mostly go. The fluff looks kind of good on this scarf anyway. It makes it look all wintry and warm. When you think it's long enough, check it against Wobbles to see if it'll go around. Remember, you need enough length to tuck it in like a real scarf and to hang down. When you're happy with most of the length, turn over the ends and make them neat by felting them in. Now it's time to put the scarf on Wobbles. To start with, I've put the scarf on Wobbles in a cross and I decided I didn't really like that, so I've swapped it over and tucked it over like a real scarf. And I also pinned it down gently with a needle to keep it in place, but you don't need to do that if you don't want to. That's it. Wobbles is ready for his photo shoot.